Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and today it is finally time for us to review for you No Man's Sky on the Nintendo Switch. That's a weird sentence. This review was originally written by the superb PJ O'Reilly and has been adapted for video by me. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. It's been a long old road for Hello Games' No Man's Sky. First revealed at the VGX Awards all the way back in 2013, this procedurally generated infinite space simulator finally released, riding an enormous wave of hype in August of 2016. However, the PS4 and PC game we got our sweaty palms on was a far cry from what had been advertised and promised during a build-up to launch that could have made Peter Molyneux blush. Yes, No Man's Sky was not the all-encompassing wonder we'd been led to believe it would be. It had the procedurally generated planets, the quote-unquote infinite universe in which to play, but there was a real paucity of things to actually do in the months following its initial launch. It had some serious technical issues as well. It didn't run well on consoles at the time, procedurally generated aliens and environments were a bit duff, and as a result, the fury of what seemed to be the entire internet was laser-focused on Sean Murray and the small team at Hello Games. It got nasty. Fast forward to 2022 though, and there's possibly never been a bigger or better comeback story in the history of gaming. The No Man's Sky of today is testament to an indie studio that point blank refused to give up, that took all the blows, admitted its mistakes, put its head down, cut communications, and concentrated on delivering. And it really did deliver. It ultimately delivered on every promise that had been made pre-release, and it continued and still continues to deliver much more even on top of that. What we've got now is a wondrous space exploration experience that lives up to the crazy pre-release hype, so excuse us if we've been getting pretty psyched about this one finally arriving on Switch. Over the course of 6 years, numerous big updates have improved every aspect of what's on offer here. That dodgy procedural generation has been transformed, tweaked and enhanced to ensure that the level of variety in planets, weather, local lifeforms and fauna make for a genuinely compelling exploration experience. It now feels as though you're traveling in a universe that's stuffed full of possibilities with regards to what you'll confront when you set your ship down on a planet. Weather, atmospheric hazards, volatile plant and animal life, jaw-dropping vistas and twisted alien environments. You just never know what you're in for when you open your ship's cockpit, and planets are now laden with gear and long-lost artifacts for you to discover and sell as you work to upgrade every aspect of yourself and your trusty spaceship. The boring old gameplay loops of old are now a very distant memory indeed. The opening tutorial section has been bolstered and improved and now provides a genuinely useful introduction to the game's core systems, whilst also keeping you invested through some neat storytelling. You've got base building, a revamped economy system, character customization, space combat, farming, alien settlements, procedurally generated missions, underwater exploration, ground vehicles, portals. The list really is long and all-encompassing. In short, No Man's Sky has become the game we all hoped it would be back in 2016, but one lingering question remains. Can Hello Games take all of this and jam it onto the Nintendo Switch in a playable state? Well, we didn't dare believe it, but as it turns out, they've only gone and bloomin' done it. There may be visual sacrifices par for the course on Switch by now, and yes, it takes a little longer to load into initially. Multiplayer has yet to make the jump as well, and that's not an aspect of the game we're going to hold our breath on getting in the end, but these slight grievances aside, this is a No Man's Sky port that serves up an absolutely rock-solid experience, an eminently playable version of a game that you could potentially sink hundreds of hours into enjoying. Even in the areas we might have expected and even accepted some frame rate drops here and there, such as launching off from planets or cranking our ship to warp speed to Junior Birdman the heck out of there, the game holds an almost perfect 30 frames a second. It's remarkable really, and it makes for a Switch conversion that for us sits right up there with the likes of The Witcher 3, Alien Isolation and Doom as one of the very best ports we've seen on the console thus far, something that shouldn't work but just absolutely does. Of course, it's not all perfect. As we've mentioned already, there's a blurriness to the visuals in handheld mode, and pop-in is much more noticeable as you bound around planet surfaces. However, the graphical style of No Man's Sky, that bold, colourful, chunky aesthetic, means that none of this really matters as much as it could do with another game. That slight blurriness never holds you back, everything is so perfectly readable in the environments, and you can settle in and explore and scavenge and build to your heart's content without ever needing to stress over technical issues. I mean, what an accomplishment. No Man's Sky is also a game that absolutely sings as a portable title. We already feel like this is going to be our default way to play the game going forward, a perfect experience for long sessions on the couch or short blasts when traveling on a moving couch. None of the sacrifices that have been made by Hello Games to get this one up and running will encroach on your enjoyment of the experience, and it still looks pretty fantastic, even with the visuals dialed down to what is probably their most basic settings. With the arrival of the huge Waypoint update, we've got near total parity in terms of features, multiplayer aside, of course, with other platforms as well, and the 4.02 version which we tested brings a raft of fundamental changes that make for a much more streamlined and intuitive experience in terms of inventory management and mission tracking. Some of this may sound a little bit dry, but the changes really do make for a game that's much easier to comprehend and navigate. And if that's boring, well, I'm sorry. It's been a long road getting from there to here, and new players will never know any different, but No Man's Sky veterans who have been on that journey with the developers will be all the more impressed. You've got a new level cap, improved auto-saving, detailed entries for discoveries, breakdowns of available missions and what they entail, illustrated references to all the flora and fauna, and skill trees where you can go and get a handle on what tech you currently own and what's out there to work towards next. You can track accomplishments, which are now clearly detailed in the game's menus, and an inventory redesign and upgrading of storage capacities makes for a much smoother time, just generally. There's also a new relaxed mode for those who wish to explore and craft without the pressures of the default survival gameplay, and there are now a ton of tweakable elements in the game's settings for you to play with in order to create your own totally customized experience. Want to tweak how much fuel your ship needs? You can! Set enemy strength or crafting costs? Go for it, dude! There's barely a single aspect of the core gameplay that can't now be set to your preferred level of difficulty, be that high or be that low. In short, this is No Man's Sky in the best shape it's ever been in, and it's all here on Switch in a port we genuinely didn't believe Hello Games could deliver in such solid form. If you're already playing this one on another console, this is a version that is still worth looking into as a delightful way to enjoy the endless space exploration in a portable form factor. If you've yet to experience the joys of this infinite intergalactic survival sandbox, well, you're in for an almighty treat. No Man's Sky on Switch is a fantastic port of a game we genuinely didn't believe would make the transition to Nintendo's console without some serious technical issues. Hello Games has made the necessary cutbacks and downgrades to get this intergalactic survival sandbox playing at a super solid frame rate, and the colourful, chunky graphical art style here ensures that it all still looks pretty fantastic to boot. With all the game's previous updates and content included, barring multiplayer again, and a plethora of customization options courtesy of the massive Waypoint update, this is an easy recommendation for survival fans and one of the most impressive ports we've seen on Switch to date. You've reached the end of the review, and that means it's time for Alex's personal thoughts, and yeah, I've been enjoying this like a beast. At the time of recording, I've just come back from some time off, and I managed to play No Man's Sky during some of that time, and I was actually away. I was in a caravan, if you can imagine such a thing. As a result, I was only able to play it portably, which I don't often play the Switch portably, just due to, it's just a preference thing. I've got a big TV, I'm gonna use it, but I was forced to play it portably, and frankly, it's ridiculous how well they've got this running. There are definitely some moments when it starts to chug a little bit if you're on like a really dense planet and you've gone and worked up some sentinels and they're sending God knows what after you. It starts to suffer a little bit, but 99% of the time it just runs. Like, it just runs. Because it's all procedurally generated and stuff like that, it means that the game has, like, it's something like, it's like 20 quintillion or 18 quintillion planets, which is, let's just say it's a big number, meaning that every single person is going to have a unique experience with this game. And the fact that this entire thing, I mean, I don't know what it's like with the Waypoint update on there, but when I downloaded it initially, it was 4.7 gigabytes. I went to the Caravan Parks pub and I stole their Wi-Fi. Well, I say stole, they were offering it for free. And I downloaded it in like 20 minutes on public Wi-Fi, and then I was just like, okay, I've got a universe on my Switch now, which is pretty crackers. I was even more impressed when I got home and I started playing it docked, which is what you're going to have been seeing, you know. Yeah, it's soft in places, but what they've done, they've been so clever with what what little things they've been tweaking in regards to effects and things like that and settings, that it's overall, it's a bloody seamless experience. And I had no idea that No Man's Sky was as big as it is now. I was aware of it when it first came out, and then I just kind of just saw that, oh yeah, it's getting lots of big updates and everyone's happy with it now. So to land in on this perfectly playable version on Switch, and even like I had to go to London for work, and like the first day I was back, I had to get up at 5 a.m. I hated it, but I got to play No Man's Sky on the train, and I genuinely wanted to. I genuinely wanted to play it portably. I couldn't put it down. I can't put this bloody game down. One of my biggest fears is that it was going to have no direction. It's kind of, hey, you can just do your own thing, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. I've not got a problem with that. But I do like a little bit more structure. And the game, I don't know how it manages it, but it does. It just, like it takes you on a plot line, despite the fact that the game doesn't even really know that these planets exist. It's complicated. The game is complicated. There's a reason that there can be that many planets and it be under 5 gigabytes. It makes up quests for you. It always points you in the right direction. I'm just genuinely floored with this game. I really am. It's an absolute blast. I'm loving every moment. I've already put about 20 hours into it, and I'm not sure how. And I'm only looking forward to putting more hours in. And I will. Feverishly.